Oh, we are back. We are back. I watched a murder yesterday. I was in witness of it. Notre Dame destroying the Orange. That was pretty impressive. Trevor has his eyes on the Eagles Cowboys game, which has all of a sudden gotten tight here in the fourth quarter. And hey, guess what, Jerry? We're 8-3. I mean, you can't beat it. We're 8-3. We play these Eagles next week, next Friday. I will be at Eagles Packers in 2 weeks in Lambeau. First time going to an NFL game in enemy territory.
Uh-oh.
We'll have to figure out how that's going to work for the show for that day because that is also, I'm pretty sure, Selection Sunday for college football. And they pushed that. It was supposed to be a 1:00 noon game, Jerry's time, and they pushed it to 4:25, which would be 3:25. So we have to figure it out. So I don't know if we'll go live like before or later. I don't know, but we'll figure it out because that's definitely going to be a big day, especially with how this college football season is starting to kind of unfold and shake and be goofy. We have a comment here. Creepy photo, gentlemen. Creepy photo's a little excited, guys. So he buys a lot of sports cards. He buys into these breaks, and he hates Michigan, but Bryce Underwood's a big chase in these breaks. And last night he pulled a 1 out of 5 autographed Bryce Underwood, which is just like the Jeremiah Love card, but the Bryce Underwood is way more expensive. It's probably like a $10,000 card.
That's awesome.
Amen.
So
love that we love that.
What I was thinking about though is I was thinking about today after he called me. I had to go to Mishawaka and buy a suit for a wedding. Terrible, first time in my life. Spent way too much money. I didn't feel good about that.
You bought it or rented?
I bought it. I figured, you know what? I need a suit. Like I've never owned one. Like when we buy a nice navy blue suit, I bought it. So on my way down there, I'm thinking, how much has this guy spent though on these breaks? And now he's like kind of even himself out.
That's awesome,
Oh, Jonathan Foster's joining us here. Of course, he gets one. Yeah, he's talking about Bryson. Jonathan Foster will be at the game this weekend, guys.
Ooh.
Let everybody know he'll be at the game.
That's a big one. I was on Facebook, and one of my suggested friends was Nolan.
Yeah, you're not Facebook friends?
I don't think so. I'll have to change that. But I was looking at him at his profile picture, and he to me just looks like a nurse.
He was like
he a nurse?
No, he used to work at a hospital where he used to wipe asses.
Oh,
he wasn't a nurse, but
did he wear like scrubs and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that 1,000,000%.
Wore scrubs and scrubbed.
Yeah, he was at bottom of the barrel, wiping asses,
That's
and cleaning old men.
That's really sucks.
That's man of the people. You know what?
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. So yeah, he wasn't a nurse, but he was definitely wiping ass.
He's got the nurse look to him, dude.
Yeah, I mean he could have been, but now he works on construction sites and just kind of stands around all day.
That's awesome.
He's a blue collar man.
Hell yeah, that's our audience.
That's right.
The monster stock up one drink at a time, one gas station stop at a time. Roller dog and 8 white monsters. You know how it goes, baby. We love that.
Yeah.
No, they just got done rebuilding the city of Buchanan.
Nice.
So I mean, that's just what he does. But now he's a guy that owns a $10,000 sports card. So we'll see what he does with that too. All right. So we have a firing. This happened right before we came on here, which, I mean, I didn't think this guy had been here that long, but Justin Wilcox got fired by Cal. He's been at Cal since 2017, which is just crazy to me when I thought about it. He was 48-55. They're currently 6-5. They lost to the biggest rival, Stanford, last night. Did you guys see where they like brought the plaque over? Did you guys see that video?
Yes.
They had like the stare down.
Yep.
Like
weird.
That was
very weird. Very nerd-esque.
Very nerdy. And it was just one of those things where I'm like, this is Cal Stanford. Like
that game had a bunch of clips that didn't really kind of matter to the game, but also didn't. That clip,
the Andrew Luck clip was crazy too. Yes, he's getting interviewed, and all of a sudden he's like, "Ball!" and then the guy picks it up and returns it for a touchdown for Stanford.
Yeah, no, nothing from that game that I saw was outside of that one play, and even better in the nerd handoff. It's like, okay, they're doing this standoff like the South Korea North Korea border, and I'm like, okay, this is just weird. And then there's the one Stanford football player that comes in is talking smack to a bunch of people in rugby shirts for Cal, and I'm like, all right, dog. Like this, that was a very weird. The Pac-12 is dead, but it's never really dead, right? Like that was the most Pac-12 weird game ever, out of conference game. No, it was in conference, right?
No, it was in
ACC.
conference. It was an ACC. It was an
Yeah, I keep
Atlantic
forgetting
Coast
Stanford's not
Conference
technically
game.
the Big Ten because that feels like the most Big Ten, non-Big Ten school
should.
ever.
They should.
What has Conference Real Live done to us?
It's
No, it's
crazy.
got Justin Wilcox fired. That's what it did.
Yeah, so he hasn't won a bowl game since 2019 when they were 8-5. I think Trevor just saw the replay of the fumble on the field for the Eagles. So they're sick. They've been 6-7 the last 2 years. Lost their bowl games. So Cal's open now. I mean, it's kind of one of those. They have a quarterback, but who knows if he's going to transfer or not. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those jobs. I don't know where it's like ranks on like who wants it, but I think it's really goofy of a job because you are in California but playing the ACC. So I don't know if it's very desirable, but it's a job. But there is history there, building quarterbacks: Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, Mendoza. So I don't know. I mean, it could be an interesting job for small time California coach, maybe to slowly build them back up.
It's very weird too because of the timing of this. Cal hit, Vegas knows all, and all people care about in some worlds is Vegas. They hit their win over total, which should tell you something. And their next game is SMU, which has actual title game implications for the ACC because that's a mess. But now SMU, that's kind of trying to find a way in, gets a little bit of a break. And it's a team we haven't talked about a lot, right? With the Ponies themselves, the Mustangs, So this is a chance for them to take advantage now of a situation that they didn't really expect to be in. Per Sports Reference, Wilcox is 48-54 in his
terrible
that season. Just under 500. This is a tougher job. Nick Rolovich, a name people might remember, as former Wazoo coach before. I think he didn't take the jab, and that got him fired. He's taking over right now. I am very curious what happens to the quarterback, JKS, because he is one of those freshmen that has, one, got a lot of reps, but two, is a good ball player, can really light things up when it works well. But, yeah, this is going to be a really weird spot. The GM here, yes, I'm not misspeaking here, Ron Rivera, another name you might just remember.
Yes. Why, yes, of course.
So it's really interesting to see, especially with like these football GMs. This is kind of where I'm curious of the type of hire. Stanford in the same spot right now with the year-long interim coach, and Andrew Luck is kind of looking as well. So that's what I think is the most interesting here. And also just, again, the timing. This is a team that is bowl eligible. A lot of teams have kind of bucked that trend of getting rid of their coach. We'll talk about that a little bit later with Florida State at some point. But like a lot of these teams have said, hey, instead, we are just going to go and put more money in NIL for a year, wait it out. And Cal's like, no, we're not. So, that's how you can tell they're fed up because a lot of teams are now trying to avoid this carousel and how chaotic it is about to be. Our title slide, I think, really represents the whole chaos of it with the guy in the middle, Lane Kiffin, determining what could be like 10 different jobs, it feels like. So, yeah, another smaller opening in this crazy carousel. And just, again, surprising that they're not going to hold out to the end of the year, maybe do one more. But if you keep holding out, you keep getting a mid-program. So it's like sometimes things got to give. But, yeah, it's another interesting ACC opening again in California, like you said, Caleb. So something we're going to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, there's Stanford is open, even though there's like an interim Frank Wright's there. Like people kind of feel like it isn't open, but it is open. Stanford's open, Cal's open, UCLA's open. So we do have quite a few California jobs open, and it kind of feels like maybe in that recruiting hotbed you could maybe turn it around pretty quickly, but no one's been able to do it so far. So we'll see. Jerry brought up Florida State. They're bringing back Mike Norvell in 2026. They are currently 5-6. They lost to NC State last night. He went 2-10 last year. He's been 38-33 at Florida State. Of course, he had the 1 year where they won the ACC, went 13-1. Their quarterback gets hurt. They don't make the playoff. I feel like he's probably getting some goodwill just based off of that. I don't understand why you keep him, but that's just me. I mean, to me, if you were 2-10 last year and you haven't gotten better this year, and this was the year that you kind of went all in, you did transfer portal again, you bring in Gus Malzahn, you look really good in the first game, you have energy, and then you collapse. Like, to me, this guy doesn't keep his job. But that's just me. But I think Florida State looks at it. We don't want to spend the money to buy him out. It'll probably just be cheaper for us to try and give him another year, but I just don't get it.
Well, the hard part with Florida State is they don't recruit the high school levels well, which is a big problem for Florida. This is a very transfer portal reliant team. It's what got them to the 11-0 season. It's what's also killed them last 2 years. Week one, Tommy Castellanos was a Heisman candidate. Now Tommy Castellanos, we don't know what he's doing next, right? Like that's a very different world that we're quickly in. The buyout here is steep. Again, this is a private school or a state school. I think it was like, if I remember, it's one of these things where the buyout isn't exactly clear. It's in like $50 million. And mind you, they brought in both, like you said, the Gus Bus and was it Tony White from Nebraska. They paid good money for those coordinators too. So this is not a cheap firing. Now, in some circles, this kind of says, hey, we might be a little bit more broke than we want to admit. That's kind of the quiet part of this situation. And also this is where like the Cal firing becomes a lot more interesting in my mind, is because you have big players like Florida State. As much as Florida State may not have the money as much as we think, and they're not just printing dollars like LSU, or pick whatever school that's just throwing the bag. This is a program that obviously has history, has national titles, it has all those things. So to see it kind of shy away, does it feel like we're delaying the inevitable? Absolutely. But yeah, it's not cheap. And then this thing's just going to get so crazy. I don't, and I keep like revealing our next slide. It feels like, cause I'm like, yeah, also in the middle of this, you have 3 schools that are all kind of vying for the same guy, and that could change a lot of things. And, so it's a weird time, but also the longer you wait, the harder it is to get into the game. I think that is part of this. So now with Florida State just been sitting on the sideline, all right, fine, just be done with it. And keep them for this year, give them that shot. Buyout goes down. You've already paid the money for the coordinators. You got some of that off. I get it now because they were late in the game, but I understand the frustration from the Florida State fan base and probably within the institution about what's going on.
I think too, maybe it's like you kind of right now to get a really good coach, you're competing with LSU, Florida, Arkansas, where it's like this seems like almost like those are schools that are going to get the big guys.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make a big financial decision like this, like getting rid of Norvell, you might have to settle for someone that you're not totally bought in on. So, worst case scenario, he sucks again next year, they fire him, and then the market's probably, reset a little bit and not as insane as it is right now. Best case scenario, he does really well and you keep him.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too is you're competing against an in-state rival in Florida, who obviously right now has more money than you do to buy out their coach and kind of throw the bag maybe at Lane Kiffin. So it is roughly estimated that his buyout would be $58.7 million. I think he got a contract extension after the 2023 season. So yeah, I mean, it's just, to me though, it's your Florida State. Like, you are a top 10 program in the country when it comes to college football. You have this history of success. I know most of it is with Bobby Bowden, but Jimbo took over. You had some success. You won national titles. Jerry's point to the recruiting is when Jimbo was there and they won national titles, they were recruiting at the highest level ever. Like, Florida State getting players has never been an issue, and for this guy, it is. So that's what I think is kind of goofy. I mean, they have a history. Deion Sanders, Derek Brooks. I mean, all these guys, they just come. Jameis, like, they get everybody, it feels like. And with him, it's like, oh, we have to go to the transfer portal. And it's like, but you're Florida State. So it's very interesting to see that. Could it also hurt Florida State that Miami's doing a little bit better? Yes, but we've seen in the past that they've both been really good at the same time. So I don't know. It's just one of those goofy things to me to be like, let's keep them around after we were terrible last year and we started out hot and then we've just not been able to figure it out. But time will tell on it. All right, to the guy that we're all waiting for. This guy right here holds all the cards. He's holding us all hostage, basically, at this moment. So Friday night, Ole Miss AD came out and said there would be a statement next Saturday after the Egg Bowl about Lane Kiffin's status of coaching, maybe where he goes, whatnot. So some goofiness there. And then later on Friday night, Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports reported that Lane Kiffin was finalizing a contract with LSU, and they were waiting on his commitment within the next week. That was roughly a $90 million contract. He didn't really say the years, but it was looking at like maybe $13 to $14 million annually, and then $25 million to his roster annually. And then that kind of died down throughout the night. And then yesterday it was kind of looked at that Florida would also be willing to offer the exact same thing to him. So it was funny. I saw a tweet where they were like they thought they could hide this for 6 days or whatever it was, and it ended up not being so. Waiting on the domino, and then I was talking to Jared before this is the backup plan if he were to stay at Ole Miss is Drinkwitz at Missouri and Tulane's coach. So we're kind of waiting on this to kind of move everything and change it up a little bit. But it kind of feels like to me Lane is coaching two different schools at the moment. This is what it feels like to me.
It's not even coaching two different schools. I think he's coaching Ole Miss, but like this is like having a wife and a girlfriend. Like, Ole Miss is the wife. You're going to take care of it. You have all the stuff built here. You have the mortgage with that. But the girlfriend's fun on the side to talk to, and have all these things. But that's really what, it's almost like he's cheating on, on Ole Miss, it feels like in this situation. It's just because you don't know if the focus and the attention's there. And I think that's one of the more frustrating things because, again, when we look at the Ole Miss situation specifically, it doesn't get much better than this. They've done everything Lane Kiffin has asked for. Now, I also know Lane Kiffin has raised the floor there. It's a question of how good the job is compared to how good the coach is, right? But you're sitting here. You're one win away from basically guaranteeing yourself a playoff spot. I don't know their SEC championship.
I think that they would have to have Alabama to lose and Georgia to lose.
Yeah, I say don't ask me. I don't.
But Georgia's in, so they would need A&M to probably lose in Alabama.
Yeah, it's something weird. But even other way, like they feel like one of those teams with that they win, they're in. It doesn't get much better than this. The boosters and groups around there have raised, I think, as much as they probably can. Again, we are talking about the state of Mississippi. There is money here, but it's, again, Mississippi. Ask Brett Favre about that, and how that goes. But, there's only so much you could do here. But at each passing moment and week, it's got to be more frustrating for everyone involved. And, again, it's burning a lot of goodwill, at least the way I'm seeing it, at Ole Miss. And I get it. This is LSU. This is Florida. These are those big boy jobs. And there's also a schedule problem here. Again, it's something we've talked about. How much longer is LSU and Florida willing to wait to get a coach in? Not just Lane, any coach. Is that necessarily only Lane Kiffin's fault? No, he's entertaining this. We're not going to pull the Nick Saban here and be like, this is not Lane Kiffin's fault at all. No, it's not. The guy flying out, supposedly family members to different places and doing all that stuff and knowing it's going to be tracked. Let's be adults here. That's not like Lane Kiffin just, I don't know what I have to do. He's a big boy. He knows what he's doing. And I think that's kind of what the problem is here. And I will end on this. The Egg Bowl is legit. I get it. Mississippi State's not – the vibes of Mississippi State aren't great either right now at Jeff Lebby. I know they're asking for some more here, but that's not a game you could just walk into. And, God, if there ever feels like the chance to slip on the banana, it is right here. Mississippi State has not won an SEC game in about 2 years now. They could wreck Ole Miss's playoff chances, win the coveted Egg Bowl, and then also screw a lot of the coaching stuff. Guys, this is why this sport is awesome. And he will be the final domino. When he moves, everything else will kind of shift in place and figure itself out. Backups like a Drinkwitz or Summerall, all these things, they start moving as soon as Lane makes that decision because then everyone kind of knows where everyone is. Because I don't know how many more teams are firing anybody at this point. So, yeah, he holds all the cards. It's just how he plays them. And Lane Kiffin playing cards just feels like a bad thing, especially with the way he's exited. Basically every job is bad. So vibes here are weird. Hopefully he doesn't get hired on the tarmac.
Well, I mean, you never know. But, yeah, it's just – I don't know. It's just goofy. Nick Saban goes on the little, Lane Kiffin, rant where it's like, Nick, you have to remember that these kids are college athletes. Like, this is the reason you are no longer a coach because you can't handle this stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if he wins Saturday and then, or say he wins Friday, they play Friday, and then Saturday comes out and he says he's no longer going to be the coach. He's leaving. Like that whole thing is just crazy if that were to happen. So I don't know. I just feel like if he was going to stay, there would be Ole Miss would have went balls to the walls being like, he's coming back. Like he's not leaving. So I don't know. It's just, but Lane likes this. This is Lane. This is what he does. He thought he did the right thing when he left Tennessee, when he went back and talked to the to the reporters, and it turned out not to be the right thing. And he always says, them burning couches was good. It means that they liked you and wanted you. So, I mean, this is just who he is. So, I don't know. It's the same guy that got told by Nick Saban no longer to coach because he was going to FAU. So, nothing surprises me at this moment with him.
It doesn't. The thing I worry about in a situation that would be far lasting than Lane Kiffin is the implications of a coach. Let's say they win on Friday and are basically in the college football playoff, walking away from a playoff team to go to a job that is not in the playoffs. Yeah. Because that inherently does a lot of damage to if the playoffs are legit. And that's the one thing. There is a schedule qualm and concern here. Does that mean Lane Kiffin cannot stop flirting with these two jobs and just make a damn decision? Yes, that is also true. But there is a level of here that does matter, and it could cause a lot of problems. And again, it's like, I don't want to say the grass isn't always greener. I'm not trying to poo-poo on any other job he goes to, but this is probably as high as you get, and this is not a bad high to get to. So it's a lot of money, a lot of talk. Jimmy Sexton and Lane Kiffin just feels like LeBron and not even that, like Kobe and Shaq in their prime, just trolling schools. Like you ever seen those montages, or they go back whenever with like prime Kobe and Shaq, and it'll be like this person and that, this is them. Like right now, getting money from state institutions. By the way, remember when LSU said they weren't going to waste a taxpayer dollar? Now they're going to pay $90 million to Lane Kiffin and spend $25 million in NIL. Yeah, totally.
Well, and that doesn't even go into what the assistant pool would be and everything like that, But yeah, I mean, it's a crazy time. It's Lane Kiffin. He's hot again. They're like most wanted hot. This is what he wants. I believe he wants to get back to a primo job. So we will see kind of what happens here over the next week. All right, we only had 2 upsets this week of ranked teams. Games weren't that great. There were a couple close ones, but nothing too crazy. TCU beat number 23 Houston 17-14, kind of knocking them out a little bit of anything that could happen in the Big 12. But then Pitt knocked off number 16 Georgia Tech 42-28. And now the ACC starts to get messy, and the road in the lane could be open for the Miami Hurricanes to maybe get in. I think as of right now, it's Virginia and SMU.
Well, that's the other lane. Again, we go, everything is Cal today, right? Now Cal coming in on an interim coach now gives SMU an absolute opportunity to walk in here with Georgia Tech opening the door, and then Cal saying, we'll hold it for you. Now, knowing this sport, SMU throws away this game. Miami gets in here somehow. I don't know. But I will give Pitt a lot of credit here, because Pat Narduzzi last week went out there and said, we can lose to Notre Dame by 100. I don't care. We have to win the 2 ACC games. So that put a lot of pressure, and that's not something a lot of coaches do, is put a lot of stakes on not the game they're playing that week, right? But to be like, I don't care, this was the game day game, all that stuff. For him to kind of just say, we don't care, then they come out and just be the better team, not just beat Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech tried to steam back, and there was like 14-point game at some point. Georgia Tech's driving down. They're in the red zone. Instead of this be turning into a one-score game, pick 6. Like, they dominated this game. They looked better for a majority of it. That's a big deal. I did say in the midweek show Georgia Tech was kind of getting away with it, and it's like, could they do it again? Maybe. Kind of hard to trust both of these teams. But Pitt looked better. They still have to win this week, because I really hold those words high, because that was a lot to put on 2 weeks. In other words, congratulations, Houston. I liked you, and now you just hurt my soul a little bit. But Houston's ahead of schedule anyways. This is year 2 under Willie Fritz. They just joined the Big 12. For them to kind of even be like dark horsing, sneaking into this competition, that's good for them. Like, this is a program that continues to grow. I think Willie's the right guy for it. TCU needed this win. Sonny Dykes needed this win. They need to just start doing a little bit better, because his seat, it's a little warm, but I don't really know what to make of that situation, because that's the same guy that brought you to the national title game. So confusing, but that's why we love the sport. Even though it's just 2 upsets, not as many as we're used to.
All right, so then I also have our picks from this week and kind of the results of those. Jerry, you went 3-4.
What should I do? Right around 500.
Trevor, you went 4-3. I went 6-1. I mean, I had Pitt. I had UNLV. I mean, I'm just running away with this thing. So Jerry's season total is 44-41. Trevor's is 47-50. And mine is now 54-43.
Wow.
I'm just sticking with 500. I'm okay with that.
I will say you guys have a chance this week because Michigan Ohio State game I've picked wrong like the last 5 years. So you
I might
guys
be wrong with you.
you guys may have a shot. All right, on to some other games before we get to the Oregon USC game. Jerry, this guy won the Heisman Trophy last night.
Dude,
8
I
carries,
love it.
171 yards, 3 touchdowns. His first carry, he just gone. House call.
I respect you. I respect you pushing the narrative. You know what? You got to do what you got to do. I understand you got some vested interest here. I get it. I won't hate it. Dude, I don't even want to talk about the Jeremiah Love Heisman stuff. That's great. I'm not hard to do anything. I'll drop the campaign. That's fine. I'll run on the Love bandwagon. But like, dude, that was
dude,
that's a lot of words we can't say on this program, man. And like that was when that happened. That I have not seen that level of just two different teams on very different platforms. Something just happened here in the lovely Cowboy Eagles game. I'm gonna let Trevor just react. Stay over there, Trevor. That's fine. Don't say anything that will hurt you. We don't want to get yourself in trouble.
Yep.
But dude, this is great. It's great for the Heisman campaign. You got to do what you got to do. Indiana's kept Mendoza in a lot of games. I get the system here. This is bad. Like, that's bad.
7-7
that's terrible. And I think in this new transfer portal world, it shows you how hard it is for these middle tier schools like a Syracuse to get depth. Because it's one thing to have good starting players. When they had Steve Angeli and a couple other pieces, I'm not saying they're going to go walk in and beat Notre Dame. They weren't going to lose by 63, like with a lot of their starting core. And that's not me being a Syracuse defender. This is happening across the country. A lot of these teams, if you just hit the wrong injury because you paid a lot of money for one guy or two guys, because not everyone's sitting with a Lane Kiffin $25 million guaranteed budget, stuff like this happens. Now, does that mean you should be excused for a 63-point loss? No, that's terrible. But Syracuse, I think, is a prime example of how dangerous this world can get and how recruiting is changing so much, because the fact that Syracuse almost had me out at quarterback. Like,
they started a freshman walk-on quarterback.
They started a dude play like lacrosse like 2 weeks ago. Like, that was his main sport. Like, this, for a Division I program in a Power 4 conference to be that slim, that's not really, and I'm not even trying to critique like a Fran Brown problem. I don't know if this is a Fran Brown, Syracuse, whatever, but it's hard to have depth in these programs when you have to spend all this money, and now we know how much money is going into it, So, I get it. It's good for the Heisman campaign. Strike the pose. So did Diego Pavia. So tell me if every guy who strikes the pose is supposed to be in New York, we'd have like 20 guys in New York. So we'll see, but I get it. Good for the narrative. Keep pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. He looks different. It feels different when he plays. If Tajarian Price wasn't there, he would have had over 200 yards, because Tajarian Price touched it like his second time and ran for like 60 yards as well. So it was just crazy to watch. Michigan, Ohio State both win to set up the game this weekend. Big one with, if Michigan knocks them off, they move up, and we get into the crazy I'm dying over here. The two lost teams, Oklahoma. They beat Jerry's Mizzou.
My picks I've wasted this year, knowing that Missouri's going to lose in a big game, but I have to rep the brand.
You ride hard. I will pick against Notre Dame. You ride with your team. I respect that. I feel like, you know what, I'm going to be the smart
There's really
guy.
nothing at stake outside of pride, and I've lost that a while ago. I root for both Mizzou and the Bears. The Bears are giving me a little bit of hope back, but it's been years of beatdown. And the White Sox. If I ever feel good about myself, I remind myself that the White Sox exist. But
well, you always have the Bulls, and
because that's a team that's been really good in the past couple of years. I will see you in the play-in.
John Fush, let's be honest, we don't have a chance. Talking about the White Sox, he's a White Sox fan, so you guys have a chance. You guys have a chance. You guys have a chance when you guys show up at spring training, and then after the first game, it's over.
Hey, we had a winning record to that point this year. It was 1-0. That's better than years past.
It's big time. BYU beat Cincinnati 26-14. Cincinnati was not able to wreck BYU, not making the Big 12 championship game. Utah outlast K-State 51-47. That was a wild one. And then Miami, they continued to make their stride, beating Virginia Tech 34-17 to make their case for getting into the ACC championship game, being ranked higher, all this and that. Now we go on to Oregon They beat USC 42-27. You cannot trust USC to do anything. And Oregon showed that they're a playoff team.
They needed to win this game. It's big to win this one in Autzen because I think one of the prevailing narratives around Oregon is they don't win. Like, they can win some big games, and Autzen was like a place you can't win it. And then Indiana came in there and won. So then it's like, I don't know, USC, Oregon, this and that. And they just looked like the better team. One of the things I found surprising was USC's real struggles in the special teams. That weird kick and all this other stuff. Like, I kind of thought coming into this game that USC special teams, if this were to be a closer game, would have given them an edge. Usually this year they've actually been pretty solid, not too many problems. I guess this week was the week they decided to not do that. Oregon needs this, but like Oregon's resume got weird really quick because the Penn State win was awesome in the moment. It's huge to win at Whiteout. I don't care what you tell me right now about Penn State. That's a big game. That's designed to be a big game. With everything we knew. But then that win quickly kind of got devalued, right? And that's how we've seen it. Then you lose to Indiana. The question turns into, is Indiana a powerhouse? And then Oregon kind of just plays some lighter folks, which I kind of like the fact that Dan Lanning like, we didn't play nobody this week when they've had some not necessarily challenging competition in front of them. It's whatever. Got to do what you got to do. But they needed this one to now kind of keep themselves safe because they're probably not in the Big Ten title game, barring some possible chaos, which is very much there. But need a good win on the resume. The USC Lincoln Riley experiment will continue. I just don't know where it's going. Good offensive talent here. The defense is starting to struggle again, which, again, early USC Lincoln Riley, that's like the big problem, which is like they'll score 50 and give up 60. It feels like we're kind of getting back to that a little bit. And I don't know how many more defensive coordinators you can go through until the head man goes. So,
well, he also told the reporter that they asked the dumbest question he's ever heard in his history of football.
That was someone who does this for a living. That was a very weird question, and one that I'm not going to say it's the worst question I've ever heard, but it was one where it's like, what do you expect him to say? The question, paraphrasing, was there was a game day sign that said in Oregon, because that's where college game day was this week, saying, we hope USC keeps Lincoln Riley. And so the reporter's like, so how does it feel to have people think that you're not a threat at USC? And it's like, I don't think it's an invalid question per se, but also it's like, what do you think he's going to say? Like, is it the dumbest posed question ever? No, just watch a White House press briefing. You will feel smarter. But like, in return, I don't know what Lincoln Riley's supposed to say there. So I don't think it was necessarily a great question either. I know it's kind of a middling stance here. It's a little extreme from both sides, but it's like, what are you supposed to say? Well, we're going to keep working on it. Like, there's not a lot of options for him to tell you anything that's worth a damn. It's not like a very informative question. It's kind of a vibes-based question, which that's what us podcasters ask that no one's going to answer. Not as much you go to the podium, but, it's also Lincoln Riley after a loss. There's another guy who did that. He's, at LSU, and now he doesn't have a job. When he didn't like reporter questions. At least Lincoln Riley didn't like bang his fist on the table like, this is the worst question I've ever heard. All that stuff. So,
well, and also Lincoln Riley doesn't have a kid that runs on the field for senior night saying free BK. Free
that was funny. I don't care. That's hilarious. That's LSU season summed up in a sentence.
All of a sudden, he runs out, shirt up, and he's like, free my boy BK. Who calls their dad their boy?
Well, didn't Brian Kelly call one of his kids just like boy? He's like, my two sons and other or something like that. Maybe that's the other. Like, maybe there's some weird relationship where, Brian Kelly's kid's like, hello, boy. And he's like, what's up, other? Like, I don't know.
Free my boy.
Shockingly, the Brian Kelly family is not good with verbiage and grammar. I don't know how that could happen there, but his family will figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, so I just think that press conference and that question, the answer from Lincoln Riley and everything was just the culmination of kind of him at USC and how he left thinking it was going to get easier from Oklahoma going to the SEC. And he's like, I'll go to USC. They're still in the Pac-12. We can do it. First couple of years were good. They won some bigger games, and now it's just been all over the place. So we'll see. All right, we'll move on to the NFL. Trevor?
Uh-oh. I'll talk to you in 3 seconds. Please block this. Please block this. Okay, never mind. I got the update. Never mind.
It was like
FML.
school.
I will have to say I'll have to hear about the Cowboys for another week. Not happy about that. I went on a tangent in the middle of the week saying they weren't good, and they were down 21-0, and now they come back and beat the Eagles 24-21. Trevor, I'll give the floor to you as a resident Eagles man.
I mean, it's just the same issues we had at the beginning of the year, where we can play one good half and then just absolutely crap the bed.
Yeesh.
I'm gonna pretend like I didn't see that.
That's all right.
It's just frustrating. Saquon Barkley doesn't do anything besides fumble the ball. Special teams is terrible. We let them get into field goal range. I mean, it makes me feel better. I mean, never mind. I mean, the Colts lost, so that makes me feel a little bit better. They were good and they suck or whatever. I don't know. This is just it's a hard time to be me right now. And congratulations on your guys' your win today. It was a good game, fun to watch. And I'm just gonna sit here now. I can fully participate in the podcast now.
I mean, we get it. I mean, I expected them to blow them out. The Eagles are now 8-3. Cowboys are now 5-5-1. Standings wise, I mean, the Eagles still have a pretty commanding lead.
So. Yeah, I mean, and it's division games. They get weird. They get crazy. So, but we just didn't look very good. The second half, it just didn't look good. We make our defense have to freaking basically find the cure for cancer every freaking week. Okay, I'm gonna swear. I'm gonna have to calm down. Okay, go ahead. You go ahead. You guys.
No, it feels like the Broncos game where you guys were up and then you blew it.
Yep. And this time we didn't get Jordan Davis to, luckily block a field goal or something. I mean, we should have lost that game too. But I mean, it's football. Plays like that happen. But I mean, our record says one thing, but I am highly skeptical of how good this team actually is, and it's really frustrating. But you know what? It's about to be Christmas and Thanksgiving, and I'm thankful for not the Eagles. I'm thankful for something other.
Oh my God, we're talking about what we're thankful for, dude. This is bad. This is terrible. It's terrible when you had the sentence and like, you know what? The holidays are coming up. At least I got that for me. You know what? I do have some good news for you, Trevor. That is, you do get the Chicago Bears next week. So if you need to figure out your rush offense a little bit, congratulations. The Steelers decided to run the ball. Yeah, so you have some offensive problems, unless I will say, the quotes that are about to come out of this locker room next week are going to be hilarious. That is probably the one thing I'm going to enjoy now that I will have an extended amount of Eagles content filtering into my social media ahead of the Bears matchup on Black Friday. Which disgusting. Hate that. Ew. Boo.
3 o'clock.
My birthday. It's my birthday that day.
Love your birthday. Hate the fact.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Happy for you for that. Sorry that your birthday is probably getting devalued by all the sales that are in every store.
I don't have to go to work, so it's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Little victories, right? I absolutely despise the fact that I love the fact that this week I'm going to get to see all the A.J. Brown comments. Like
they stopped giving him the ball, man. They stopped giving him the ball.
Well,
no, I don't know what they now. Obviously, for the second half of this game, we were podcasting, so bar with us not always watching every second and trying to think of intelligent thoughts. Now, I will. The Cowboys impressed me for the sole fact that their offense is just like, what if we throw it real deep into double coverage and hope, and it just works like egregiously well for how it should. Especially against the defense, I still think is obviously very legit. Like George Pickens is like 3 of them, that's fine. 4, that's fine. 7-yard out, I don't know. Like it's very Bearsian in some sense of doing the hard things really well and doing the easy things very poorly. But yeah, we need some chaos here. The Chiefs decided to win a 1-score game again. The law of averages finds a way. Can we talk about the Jameis Winston touchdown? That was fun.
I love Jameis Winston.
I like the fact that the Giants continue to just find ways to annoy teams. That shows you that there's something there. I don't know where they go with that coaching search. The Lions are on their toes. I do have some questions long term about Dan Campbell calling plays. I don't think he's not scoring the ball, obviously, but it seems like the things that made the Lions really good, which was like being on point with stuff, not making tons of mistakes, and then having explosive plays X, Y, and Z is starting to fade. And I'm wondering if that's because you have your head coach who can make X amount of decisions in the game now has a whole plate of responsibilities that adds onto it. So these little mistakes are kind of adding up. But yeah, I really appreciate the Giants pulling out the full bag of tricks. JJ McCarthy, I'm starting to think he's bad.
He's terrible.
I think he's bad.
He's not good.
And the other game that really stood out to me was the Thursday night game. What are we doing with Houston? Like big time win, big time dub. Respect the game there. I'm so confused. I came out of this game knowing less about both teams than I feel like I thought I started with, which is like CJ Stroudless, Houston looks about the same, and they're doing about the same. The Bills, some weeks are like they'll beat the Chiefs in like what feels like an AFC championship preview, then go out here on a Thursday and just get clammed. Like I'm wildly confused here on what's going on. Also, shout out Jacksonville, Carolina overtime game, free football.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? I will say also the Ravens are now atop of the AFC North again. They have clawed their way back to 6-5, and then with the Steelers losing today, they jumped them, so they are now the division leader. Who would have thought that was going to happen? The Patriots are the first team to 10 wins. They're back. I mean, it's like the dynasty never stopped at this point.
It's crazy that you got the head coach. Everyone's like, this guy fit perfect in New England. If he was just a New England coach, a lot of things would be great. And they hired him, and now they're great. Like, very few times does the thing that makes a lot of sense actually make a lot of sense. I'm very curious about the Bengals long term. I think that's one of the question marks we have. Obviously,
you have to fire Zach Taylor. He is awful.
Sure, I don't know what's going to be next there. I feel like that window, just in general, is closing a little faster than people want to give credit for, because you have all these offensive weapons, even if it's Zach Taylor behind the helm or Jesus Christ. But it's like that defense doesn't stop nothing, man. It's bad.
No, I mean, Al Golden can come back to Notre Dame. That'd be great.
I mean, he could. I don't really know if it's really – and this is the thing. I don't really know if it's Al Golden's fault.
It's probably not. I think it's personnel. Their personnel. The problem is they have so much money tied up in a quarterback and 2 wide receivers that you can't – and an edge rusher that you can't do anything else from a team perspective. Like this is what the Cowboys could run into if they were to re-sign George Pickens, where you have quarterback and then 2 wide receivers. And it's like, how do you build a team? And for some reason, other teams can figure out cap and the Bengals can't. And then they have a first round pick that doesn't want to play for him. Now I think he's out for the season. He's hurt. It's just a mess.
Well, it's because the Eagles are really good at the cap stuff, not to throw salt in the wound here. Backloading these deals like crazy to kind of build stronger teams, and as soon as you kind of get to where they owe a lot of money, you just throw a new deal. It's kind of like just throwing the money to the back end and be like, we'll figure it out. Oh, hey, we got to pay you. Let's do a new deal. Push it back a little further. Which shout out to Howie Roseman. That's team building not 101. That's what has made them very, very good at this. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Bengals. I really don't know what's going on with the Raiders. I don't know how to feel about Shedeur Sanders. He made better plays than I think Dylan Gabriel.
But not the Raiders.
Yeah, it's like I just really don't know what's going to go on in Las Vegas. Like that is a dire situation, and I really don't know if Pete Carroll stays or if they keep him there. And that feels like such an insane statement to say out loud. But they just look bad. Like even with the Saints, you're like, okay, we expect you to be bad, right? Atlanta still dumb. Important win to get because that's a rivalry matchup. But like, they're just dumb. Penix is out. But like, I don't know what you do at Vegas because this is a guy who is we all thought a good NFL head coach, and I don't know what's not clicking. I don't know if Geno really regressed in a year. I don't know if the pieces around him outside of like a Brock Bowers, like Brock Bowers is still a good tight end. I don't think he's necessarily lost it all. I know he had the knee injury, but like, what are we doing here? That's a weird game, but I do like the last 2 games we have to push us forward. I don't know how to feel about Tampa Bay anymore either. I think they're just the most feisty team in the league where, like, if you keep them around, something will happen. They're never out of a game, but outside of last year where they kind of were figuring out the hump, I don't know if they're too beat up or whatever, but this Rams team just feels like a juggernaut, and it is fun to watch, but it's also very ugly. It's like 4-yard checkdowns to Puka Nacua, and then runs through a Kyron Williams, and it's like here's the 1-yard Devontae Adams touchdown, which good for fantasy for me personally, but like it's like 17-10 every week. LA wins, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then could the Panthers steal one from San Francisco, who's still hobbling on like half a leg? I think it's a fair question. Panthers have moved forward.
No, I mean it'll be very interesting. So the Raiders over under coming into the season. So they were 4-13 last year. Their over under was set at 7.5. So people thought that they would actually be pretty good, and they're sitting there, I think, at 2-9. Yeah, 2-9. I don't know where they go from there. Tom Brady as an owner? Question mark. Has it worked out? Who knows? Yeah, I mean, Bucks Rams is going to be good because it's one of those where it's like we all think the Eagles are going to be there, but we don't, and then they lose the day, and you're like, you don't really fully know. So it would just be another stamp for the Rams to be like, look, they can do it. They can be here for the Bucks. It'd be like, still a good team. Maybe something can happen. Panthers 49ers. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is where
I don't hate this game at all.
But I feel like this is where the Panthers like just don't show up.
But that's the thing about the Panthers every year. I feel like, and I feel like this year's team is kind of beating up that stigma a little bit. Where I like if this is a close game, I don't know who to pick, and usually I feel like that's a San Francisco fine. Now, granted, San Francisco is slowly getting a little bit more healthy. I don't know how they do it every year. Like there's just a level of impressiveness with San Francisco always being hurt, which means fire your training staff at some point. You can't be doing this for 3 years. But then still winning games, and it's also meaningful games too. This is not a team that just beats up on bad teams anytime they play a good team. They flounder. But that's also where I find this game interesting is Carolina a good team? Like, and I think they are. And that's a huge progression. Going to Rico Dowdle is obviously a big move. And one that's really helped them. And I find it funny because Chuba is kind of supposed to be their back of the future. Yeah, and well, that's a big boy move to go away from the guy you're investing in. Maybe not monetarily as much, but, hey, this is going to be our guy for the next couple of years. And you go back to the older guy you brought in because you just see he's winning you games. So I really respect Dave Canales and the team for doing that. But, we're in the dog days. It is fun as a Bears fan to just sit here and be like, I'm not looking at a draft board right now.
We're 8-3. We have a chance to we're still atop of the division, of course. We have a chance to win 10 games, go to the playoffs, maybe the Super Bowl at this rate. We just win games. We have half of our defense is injured, and we're just winning games.
That's the thing. And I think that is what I will take away from this is that I worry we're using all the luck in 1 year. This is how much the Bears have hurt me over the years. I'm like, oh my God, we're winning all these close games. It's going to screw us for 4 years now. It's like we keep hitting sound.
We're the new Bears, Jerry. This is the new Bears.
And that's, it's scary and exciting to be that way. This is honestly weirdly the most Bears team ever defensively, which is they keep getting so many turnovers and just in the weirdest spots. Kevin Byard's been fantastic. He is such a steal. But obviously, you come into the Black Friday game, our schedule is tough as a Bears fan. I will be the first to admit. But this season, I feel like, is already, at least in my mind, a success. Even if you flounder out the second half of the year. I mean that honestly. No, Trevor's not nodding in and out. He is sobbing in and out. This is a man that is defeated, by America's team. This is what Kamala Harris felt like not long ago. This is what post-election syndrome can feel like if you're on the losing side. But Jerry Jones strikes again, and before you know it, Arkansas is going to have a coach that's probably paid for by this win.
Hey, you never know. You never know. All right, so this is actually kind of goofy. So what do you guys think the line for the Bucks-Rams game tonight is?
LA 4.5.
6.5. LA.
The line is 7.5. So what do you guys think the line for Panthers 49ers is?
This one I don't know.
4.5. 3.5.
Yeah, this is at San Francisco. I'll go 4.5 as well. San Fran.
It's 7.
Wow.
I'm actually surprised that
I'm going to make that bet right now.
The Panthers 49ers is closer. It's half point, but it just surprises me that the line is closer for Panthers 49ers, but there's some injuries and stuff, so it's just very, very interesting. When you look at it, here's some other scores of the NFL for the other games here. The Jags won in overtime against the Cardinals 27-24. Browns won 24-10 over the Raiders. The Falcons won again 24-10. It was really weird. You want to talk about weird? Seahawks beat the Titans 30-24.
We don't need to talk about Titans.
That is
just move
on. I will say the team that I think impressed me the most, I think, is the Chiefs to kind of get back on the wagon here. Because like Tony Romo said, the Colts are a good team. It's not like they're bad. He goes, you guys are legit. It's just the Chiefs. They're still the Chiefs, but it felt like, they lost some of their mojo. They lost kind of who they were with these one-score games. You expect them to win them, and they haven't been. To get back, now they have Thursday against the Cowboys, against that America's team. And so now it's like you never know what could happen. So I think it was just good for the Chiefs to kind of get back, kind of say, hey, we're still here. We can win these games. We can do these things. They ran like 40 times in that game, which is crazy. So they're winning in different ways. Doing what they can to win. So I don't know. That was really impressive to me because, the Colts are still good. They're 8-3, but it was just one of those where it was like the Colts have been on fire. This is like their year. They continue to roll. The Chiefs are like, hey, we're still the Chiefs. We can still do this. And, maybe something can happen here down the stretch.
Well, it's weird because I feel like the Chiefs, when you got for 80 yards of the 100 yards of the field on offense, they felt like the better team. But when they got in the red zone, they struggled. And that was what I was honestly very confused by the most. The Colts, again, for most of this game, it was like you were sitting at like 29, 3 field goals. That doesn't feel very Chiefs. It feels, if anything, they struggle at times to move the ball up the field. But once you get in the red zone, it's like, all right, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Kareem Hunt, you have Travis Kelce. They'll pull a bag of tricks. It's, again, the same team when I think they already had a playoff spot wrapped up. They did like the ring around the rosy before snapping the ball. Like that's the type of team I think of when I think of the Chiefs in the red zone. But it does remind you that this is not like this is still a well-oiled machine. But again, the law of averages is hit to some degree. The Chiefs play these close, disgusting games. And mind you, statistically, if you just look at this box score, you'd be like, the Chiefs dominated. Kinda, but not really, because again, those red zone, turning 7 into threes, that was what the Colts did really well. The Chiefs held the time of possession. Chiefs, I think, had more yards in total, obviously more plays. But it's like if you can't score, like that's my long-term question here: is this just the Colts figured it out and had the game plan and just kind of died down at the end of the game, or are the Chiefs' red zone problems going to exist longer than this? Because that's also what kills you in these one-score games. Is you need to be good in the red zone, because if it's 17-14 compared to 17-12 or 17-10, it changes the game so much more. And for them to claw back was obviously huge, and it makes the AFC interesting. But the Chiefs get all these primetime games and all this stuff for what they do. That means these games aren't easy. The Cowboys just kind of figured it out, and I don't know, if they keep doing the hey, George Pickens down there somewhere in triple coverage, he'll catch the ball. This is there's no easy road for it feels like anybody right now, which is why this sport is so much fun.
No, everything feels very tight.
I am. I know we kind of texted about this a little bit last week, but I am very impressed with Houston, specifically their defense. The Bills, for the last few seasons, have been known as one of the most high-powered offenses with great players all over the place. So for them to, they sacked Josh Allen like 7 times or something like that. It was crazy. So, and then their offense didn't look terrible. I know they're missing C.J. Stroud, which I'm sure he'll be back soon if it was like a concussion thing, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I was really impressed with Houston this week. And then a lot of teams that were kind of saw themselves down at some point, figuring out a way to win, which was a lot of fun games, especially for that 1 o'clock or noon slate, as our friend in the South likes to say. Yeah, it was a really fun day of football.
Yeah, the guy in the South Central part of America. Yeah, there you go.
About the South, Missouri being in the South. Oh my God.
Yeah, aren't you guys like technically Midwest?
That's the identity crisis of the state of Missouri. The dividing line I have put down, this is very specific to me, is everything north of Jefferson City, which is state capital, and it's about middle of the state. Everything north of that is the Midwest. Like St. Louis, in my mind, is not a southern city. It is not, is not Birmingham, which obviously way bigger.
Bergamo.
Like that, like pick your southern city. It's not even like Atlanta, right? Not the same vibes at all. KC, same thing. You don't think of Kansas City as a southern U.S. city.
No, I kind of just think I'm out there in the middle of the cornfields.
Hey, dude, either your slave owned state or either your states owned slaves or they didn't.
All right, now see, you have just walked into a history lesson. I'm not boring the viewers here like that. That's a terrible idea. No, that's a great Civil War topic, and that's also the reason that Kansas Missouri is such a big rivalry.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it at that before we get into Civil War history while we talk about Week 12 of the NFL. I know this loss was tough on you, Trevor. This is not the route you want to go.
What you know about that Mason-Dixon line, boy?
I always went off of, and you can't really do it now. I always went off conferences, like for like kind of how I viewed states. So like Missouri's in the SEC, so I view them as like a Southern Kentucky the same way, right? And then now it's like all messed up because it's like I don't think USC is like California is Midwestern now, but it's kind of how I always used to do it in my mind of like, okay, these are the different regions, whatever. But yeah, Missouri, it's kind of like just.
Well, this is where the divide exists. You go south of Jefferson City, Lake of the Ozarks feels very southern vibes. Springfield, Missouri, Big Bass Pro Shop. Like, like that has, I would say small town southern charm, but like that type of thing. Like, it is very much like one of those dividing lines since it sits such in the middle of the state, nor is it that further west. So, yeah. It's also why the Big 12 or Big 8 at the time was like the perfect conference because it took a lot of those middle of the country schools put them together. But
it's no longer a thing.
No, Big 12 still exists.
Not the Big 8, but the Big 12. The Big 12 as we know it is.
Don't worry, Nebraska is now a Midwestern school too. So exactly, like that's another state where it gets real weird. Like I don't know. Yeah. But thank you for bringing up the identity crisis.
To be fair, the Midwest and the South are pretty similar in a lot of ways. Like you talked about a Bass Pro Shop. Dude, we got one like 45 minutes away. So.
Just different vibes when you walk in that Bass Pro.
Yeah, exactly. You don't got the Temple Bass Pro Shop like they got down in Memphis.
No, we do not have that.
No. It's a very weird divide of a constant identity crisis. My favorite joke, as I told people, was I never knew how to feel. I saw the ag fraternity on campus one time host a crawfish boil, and I'm like, "What?
That's southern as shit." Dude.
It is, but I'm like, should they be? I'm like, do they know what they're doing? Like that was my question. I'm like, you don't get crawfish up here. Like it's not prime crawfish area. I'm like, do these ag boys know about like Creole seasoning? Like that was my like honest to God question, and then. Not to add on to this, the sister city of St. Louis, Louisiana, New Orleans, like there's a huge Creole influence within the city itself, which does not help this argument or case at all. Glad that we went from the Bears being good to now the Missouri identity crisis.
I mean it's about
St. Louis football that gets a lot of people hurt.
Yeah, there is none, so we can't talk about that.
That hurts a lot more people than me.
If there was a team, I may talk about them, but there no longer is. They play in Los Angeles. But yeah, I mean, guys, look, coming up this week, I mean, we have some games.
Yeah.
I mean, this weekend is loaded with games. If you look at it here, we got Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Egg Bowl, Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, Texas, Arizona State. We have the game where Jonathan thinks Michigan's going to win by 100. He's already told me that. Notre Dame, Stanford at 10:30 at night. F the ACC, F ESPN for that. That is horseshit.
That's very much one of these things that's not like the other in this conversation.
Ridiculous. The dumbest thing I think I've ever done. Miami Pitt is this week. Oregon, Washington, LSU, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. The Missouri Tigers play the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Excessively big trophy for that game, by the way.
UCLA, USC, Virginia Tech, Virginia. We have the Iron Bowl, Alabama, Auburn. Deuce Knight is now running the helm there at Auburn, and they're trying to get to a bowl game. Northwestern, Illinois. Is that like massive, Jerry, in the state of Illinois?
No.
I didn't think so. I didn't feel like it.
There are probably more Iowa fans in Chicago than Northwestern.
Yeah, because they played Michigan in Chicago, and it felt very much like Michigan City. Jonathan's saying bullshit. No, he told me, he was like, "We're winning by 100 easily. Like we're gonna sack them. We're gonna kill them." I would love them to ruin Julian Sand's Heisman campaign a little bit. I don't need Michigan to win the game because that hurts Notre Dame in the long run. But maybe a couple picks on Julian Sand.
Well, you better start rooting for Purdue, buddy.
Well, that'd be grand as well. But I mean, Purdue's a nasty, scrappy team now. I mean,
Barry Odom's Purdue, former Missouri head coach, Missouri product himself, could cause absolute chaos in the Heisman campaign. That would be the funniest thing.
They're scrappy. Funniest thing. I mean, you never really know. I mean, it's going to be a fun week. It's always one of the better weeks. Thanksgiving. Me and Trevor will be back Wednesday to do midweek stuff. Jerry will not be joining us.
I don't think so. I'm driving home that day, so question marks everywhere.
Well, I mean, you could be in the car. Maybe Jess makes an appearance. Is she going with you or no?
Yes, but
maybe Jess makes it. That would be great, actually.
We're putting a questionable here right now on the injury report. I'm not changing.
Well, we need to know for the gambling lines. I don't want to get it fined by the NFL.
I'm not going to get it. Trust me, my insight into the NFL football season did not change gambling lines. We can't even gamble in Missouri.
That's terrible.
Until December 1st. So after this week. Yes, but yeah, trust me, my NFL information is not changing any betting lines.
Well, we'll figure it out.
If I had that influence, you think I'd be here?
Maybe. You never know. You never know, Jerry. Sometimes people like to, be a big fish in a small pond.
The amount of money you guys would be making would get me in prison if that was the case. That's the thing. Do you think I'm just hiding this information for myself?
Well, some people do it. Ask Terry Rozier how that works.
I'm more of an Emmanuel Classic guy.
No, of course you are. But no, so Jerry may or may not join us. Questionable. I think if Jess made an appearance, that'd be great. I can ask her about the state of Missouri football and Eli Drinkwitz. She'll love that. And then we'll be back Sunday to break it all down. And we will, we'll discuss, of course, Eagles Bears. It's a big one this week. We have been friends and now we're enemies this week.
Screw you, Trevor.
Yeah.
Trevor's dead to begin with after watching the Cowboys.
Dude, I'm exhausted.
The mental drain here.
Yeah.
He's over it. But yeah, I mean, a lot going on. We have 2 more weeks of legit picks before we get into the bowl games where it gets really, really dicey. So you guys have some catching up to do. But I'll state it again. Jerry 44-41, Trevor 47-50, and I'm 54-43.
You make us pick bowl games. That's a terrible idea. You make me pick like the Mighty Key Car Care Bowl. Come on, man.
I did that against Jonathan, and that's when he had to eat the hot chip, and I won, and I dominated. And then he ate the world's hottest chip, and it was the funniest thing I've. He he threw up, he cried. It was literally the funniest thing ever.
You're going to get the most. That's the most I'm going to talk about Western Michigan football in my life with that week. So
Kalamazoo, baby.
The zoo.
Back.
Jerry loves it. But yeah, I mean, we'll be back Wednesday, me and Trevor, before the holiday, and then Jerry will join us again on Sunday. So, as always, thanks for watching.
Peace.
Fair now.